welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I have another book review for you, and that is for Star Wars, The Unifying Force by James Luceno. This is the 19th and final book in the Star Wars The New Jedi Order series. I've been working on this series for quite a long time now. I've been regularly reading it since January or February of last year, which is when I started the fourth book in the series. I read the first three books all the way back in 2021. So I've been working on this series on and off for over 3 years now, but really working at it for about a year and a half. And so I have finally now finished the series. It's been a long time coming. It's very nice to be done with it, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So, of course, this is the last book in the series. I was a little unsure going into this. Not unsure, but I was nervous because this is a 19-book series, and I was thinking, how well are they really going to be able to wrap this thing up? Because that's just such a big undertaking. But I'm very happy to say that I think it was a very good conclusion. Not quite the best book in the series or anything, but I would say one of the better books in the series and a very solid conclusion. So, talk first about some stuff in this book that I liked, which there was a lot of. The biggest thing that I like about this book, which I think is probably just the case because it is the last book in the series, is that it does a very good job of being that ending. It's very satisfying. It feels cohesive with the whole rest of the series. You know, there are references to all kinds of other books in this series. It feels like it took everything else into account in some way. It didn't necessarily have like overt references to like, I don't know, Balance Point or the Enemy Lines books or something like that. Like it wasn't like, oh, remember when this thing happened? But it was very much like, okay, there are little moments where these books are mentioned or events in them are recognized, and it feels very cohesive with the rest of the series in that way. And it feels like it is a very fitting conclusion for the characters, for the storylines. I really loved especially how this book follows up on the last handful of books in the series. The Force Heretic trilogy in particular, as well as the Final Prophecy, which even though I don't think that grouping of books was consistently amazing, I did love Force Heretic 3 and I did really love the Final Prophecy. But even though I didn't think those books were fully amazing, Force Heretic 1 and 2, I think that this did a very good job of also following up on what those books set up and what the entire series kind of set up. Like I said, it just felt very cohesive with everything else, and it really paid off the whole series very well, I think. I also really liked the way that the characters were handled here. I don't think this is necessarily a strong character book. I think other books in the series, ones that really focused on the characters like Agents of Chaos 1 or Edge of Victory 1 or Traitor or different books like that, those ones I think really focused in on the characters. This one is much more of, story, like getting the end of the story and not so much character stuff, but the characters were all done well. They all came to fitting and satisfying conclusions to their arcs. I think of particular note for me at least, is Jacen Solo, who I loved the way that his kind of arc, it's been building across the series, especially since Traitor. But it came to a very nice conclusion here. Nominor as well, really liked the conclusion to his arc, really liked the conclusion to the Yuuzhan Vong arc in general. Obviously this is the conclusion to the Yuuzhan Vong arc, because the Yuuzhan Vong arc is the entire series. But I mean, in terms of them, invading the galaxy, in terms of the arc of their culture and their species across this series, I really enjoyed the way that it was handled in terms of the ending and the conclusion. And just all kinds of great character stuff in this. Again, not necessarily in terms of amazing like character arcs and developments and things like that, but it felt very satisfying for all the characters. And all the characters were well done also. I really enjoyed seeing them all in this story and seeing the way that they react to the series ending and all these things. It was just really well done. I also think this book to me is not as strong on like a general general storyline, I guess. Like it feels very much like a bunch of stuff just kind of is happening, as a big end of the war kind of battle type thing. And so to me, the general story is not incredibly memorable, but I do think this is a very strong book for the moments within it. There's a lot of particular scenes and particular moments in this book that I think are very memorable. And so I think that's one thing that this book really has going for it, is there are certain scenes from this book that I think are some of the best scenes, the most satisfying scenes, the most exciting scenes in the entire series. So I think it has that going for it as well, and it just also some fun twists and turns and things like that. Like there's some twists towards the end of the book, which none of them I thought were amazing necessarily. Like they weren't twists that I was like, holy crap. But they were good twists, I think, and ones that I think were well set up as well earlier in the series. They weren't ones where you know, I felt they were fully predictable, but they were ones where I read the twist and I was like, oh, I can see where this came from, which is also nice to see, especially considering how long of a series this is. It's not like they just threw a twist in at the end just because it was something that was actually hinted and foreshadowed and things like that, which I enjoyed. So a lot of good stuff with this book. To talk about anything that I didn't like so much, I do think like the first half of this book was good for sure, but it was not like amazing, you know, final book of the series, like, you know, super exciting. But it felt very much like build up, which makes sense because, you know, last book in the series, you know, it needs to build up to kind of the final battle, and then the final battle happens. And I think that basically the entire back half of the book is excellent. But the first half, you know, was good, but it felt more like build up. It didn't feel like there was as much exciting things happening, but I did enjoy it still. And even then, that's not really much of an issue. It's just, you know, it took a bit for this book to really get going, but once it did not let up, it did not stop, it did not slow down, just it kept going, and amazing things kept happening, and it was really great. So overall, really enjoyed this one. One of the stronger entries in the series, I would say. Again, not quite my favorite or anything, but a very, very solid and very enjoyable one. As far as a rating out of 10 that I'd give the Unifying Force, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Really just solid, satisfying finale, very fun, lots of great moments, lots of great character stuff, all of that stuff. It just took a little bit to kind of get going, but once it did, it was just amazing through and through, and I had a great time with it, and I had a great time with this series. Very soon on the channel, you'll be seeing a couple of more New Jedi Order videos now that I finished the series. I'm going to be doing a series review, and then I'm also going to be doing a ranking of the series with Jonathan Cohn, who some of you may know. The ranking's actually already been recorded, which was a lot of fun, but I will be doing also a series review sometime in the coming weeks, and then I will be doing the ranking next month. So keep an eye out for that if you're a big fan of the series or if you're interested in it. But yeah, I really had a great time with the series. I'll save more of my thoughts on it for that series review. But this was a very satisfying conclusion, and I liked it a lot. And so that's pretty much it for my review. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this one, if you read it, and what you thought of how it concluded the series, what you thought of the series in general. Again, I'll be doing a series review here soon, so you can get my thoughts on the whole thing there. But let me know what you thought of the series and how this wrapped things up in the comments. So that's pretty much it for this video, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.